As you get older, you start noticing how quiet life becomes. Friends move away. Houses empty out. People you used to see every week slowly turn into memories you only visit in your head. I thought that was the hardest part of growing old. I was wrong. I've never told this story publicly before. But if you stay with me until the end, maybe you'll understand why some things are better left buried and forgotten. My name is Thomas Greer. Most people in Bellwater still call me Captain. Some habits stick around longer than they should. I was captain at Station 2 for almost 32 years before retirement finally caught me. Warehouse fires, highway wrecks, flood rescues. One propane explosion that nearly took half my hearing in the left ear. Bellwater wasn't a big town, but small towns burn just as hot as cities do. These days, I live alone near the lake in a narrow cedar-sided house with a porch that leans slightly to the right. I keep meaning to fix it. I probably won't. My wife passed 6 years ago. My daughter lives in Oregon now with her husband and 2 boys. She calls every Sunday evening, usually while making dinner, and tells me I should visit more. I tell her I will. I don't. Retirement sounds peaceful when people talk about it. What they don't mention is how quiet your mornings become once nobody needs you anymore. I still wake up at 5:10 every morning without an alarm. Coffee, pills for the lungs. Sit on the porch, watch the fog roll over Bellwater Lake. Most mornings it burns off by 7. Some mornings it doesn't. The town itself isn't much. 1 grocery store, 1 diner, 2 gas stations. Half the teenagers leave after graduation and spend the rest of their lives talking about how badly they wanted to escape. At the southern edge of town sits the Flats. That part's older than the rest of Bellwater. Low ground near the water line, where factory workers used to live back when the paper mill still operated. The mill closed 20 years ago. Flooding got worse after that. People left. Houses rotted. Some families stayed because leaving costs money. A few streets down there look abandoned until you notice curtains moving behind windows. I still drove through the Flats once or twice a week. Old habit. Retired firefighters become unofficial repairmen whether they want to or not. Smoke detectors, broken heaters, gas smells. Folks trust people who once showed up during disasters. I liked that. Maybe more than I should have. Wednesday mornings, I helped at the Bellwater Community Hall down in the Flats. Food pickup, light maintenance, mostly small things. That was where I first noticed the smell. Not strong, just wrong. At first, I thought somebody had left wet laundry too long in a machine. Then I thought maybe mildew. Old buildings collect smells the way old people collect pain. But this one stayed with me. Damp fabric. Rust. Something sweet underneath. I was changing bulbs in the back storage room when it drifted up through the floorboards. Marcy Bell came in carrying canned soup boxes. She stopped beside me. "You smell that?" she asked. "Yeah." "Mold." "Could be." She made a face. "Well, if it starts growing eyeballs, you're dealing with it." I snorted. Marcy had run the food pantry there since before my daughter graduated high school. 72 years old, and mean enough to survive another 70. She set the boxes down. "You hear about Mrs. Haskell?" "No," I said. "She says somebody's been walking around her porch at night." "Kids?" I asked. "She says it sounds too heavy." I kept tightening the bulb cage. You know how old houses sound after dark? She said the footsteps stopped outside her bedroom window. I shrugged. Bellwater was full of old people hearing ghosts in plumbing. Still. I remember glancing toward the corner of the room. The smell seemed stronger there. That night I dreamed about Station 2. Not a nightmare exactly, just the old engine bay. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, boots drying near lockers. Coffee burnt black in the kitchen. Then the alarm tones started. Everybody moved except me. I stood there while smoke poured from underneath the bay doors. And somewhere inside the smoke, a child was coughing. I woke up before sunrise with my chest tight. Could have been the dream. Could have been my lungs. Hard to tell anymore. The next afternoon, I went back to the community hall with tools. Rain had started sometime around noon. Thin, cold rain that never quite became a storm. The building felt emptier than usual. I found the loose floorboards near the back wall and pried them up. There should have been dirt underneath. Instead, there was a crawl space. Not unusual in itself, but fog moved through it. Real fog. Thin white layers sliding across the dirt like breath. I crouched lower. The smell hit stronger. My flashlight beams scattered strangely down there. That was when I heard the scratching. Slow. Wood against fingernail. One scrape. Then another. I waited. Nothing. Rain tapped against the windows behind me. I remember thinking how stupid I'd sound explaining this to somebody else. Retired fire captain scared of a crawl space. I almost laughed. Then the scratching came again. Closer. I put on a respirator and lowered myself in. The space was tight enough that my shoulders brushed beams overhead. Mud soaked through one knee immediately. I crawled toward the sound. About 6 feet in, my flashlight caught markings carved into the wood. 5 short lines, like tally marks. Then another set, and another. Rows of them. Some old, some fresh. I touched one. The groove was damp, not water. I pulled my hand back. The scratching stopped. Completely. That silence bothered me more than the sound had. I started backing out. Halfway to the opening, something moved deeper in the crawl space. Not clearly. More like the fog shifted around a shape too large to fit there. I froze for maybe half a second. Then instinct took over, and I crawled backward fast enough to slam my shoulder into a pipe. I came out muddy, breathing hard through the respirator. Nothing followed me. I stood there staring at the opening for a long time. Then I covered it back up. Didn't tell Marcy what I saw, mostly because I wasn't sure I had seen anything. That evening, I stopped at Parker's Gas on the way home. A teenage cashier named Reed was behind the counter, watching baseball highlights on his phone. "You hear they're finally tearing down the old paper mill?" he asked, while ringing up my coffee. "I'll believe it when I see it," I said. "My uncle says the ground's poisoned down there." "Your uncle says raccoons work for the government." "That's different," he grinned. Then his smile faded slightly. "You ever go into the flats after dark?" he asked. "Sometimes. You hear weird stuff down there." I looked up. "What kind of weird stuff?" He shrugged too quickly. "I don't know. People online been talking." "Online where?" "Town Facebook page mostly. Somebody posted videos." "Videos of what?" He scratched his neck. "Fog moving weird." I took my coffee. "Fog moves however the wind tells it to." "Yeah," he said quietly. "That's what people keep saying." Outside, rain blurred the parking lot lights. I sat in my truck longer than I needed to. When I got home, I checked the Bellwater community page. Most of it was garbage, lost dogs, complaints about potholes, arguments about taxes. But buried halfway down was a grainy nighttime video posted 2 days earlier, taken in the flats. The camera pointed toward Alder Street. Fog covered the road. At first, nothing happened. Then, very slowly, the fog moved sideways. Against the wind. Not drifting. Walking. The person filming started breathing harder. Then the video ended. Comments underneath argued for hours. Fake. Camera glitch. Drunk guy. Smoke. One comment near the bottom simply said, "My grandmother says it's back." No replies. Just before 2 a.m., the scanner woke me. Unit responding to welfare check, 18 Cormorant Lane, elderly female, possible distress. I was already getting dressed before dispatch finished talking. Some instincts never retire. Rain misted across the roads as I drove. Officer Dale Whitcomb's cruiser sat outside the house when I arrived. Dale looked about 19, even though I knew he was older. He saw me and visibly relaxed. "Captain?" "Tom." "Right. Tom." He glanced toward the house. "You know Mrs. Haskell?" "Yeah." "She's gone." "How do you know?" He hesitated. "You should probably see." The front door stood open. Inside smelled like the crawl space. Damp fabric, rust, sweet rot. The television still played quietly in the living room. An old, black and white Western. The bedroom window was open despite the rain. Curtains fluttered inward. Mrs. Haskell's bed looked disturbed, sheets hanging halfway to the floor. On the wallpaper beside the window were 5 downward scratches. Not random, deliberate. Same spacing as the marks under the community hall. Dale stood behind me. "You think somebody took her?" I didn't answer immediately. Outside, something metallic clanged softly in the wind. Finally, I said, "She use a cane?" "Yeah." "There are tracks outside." "That's the weird thing." We stepped into the backyard. Rainwater covered most of the ground. No footprints, just fog lying low across the grass. Dale rubbed his arms. It wasn't this cold a minute ago. Across the street, a porch light flickered. For a second, I thought I saw somebody standing beside it. Tall, thin, head bent wrong. Then the light steadied. Nothing there. Dale noticed me staring. "What?" he asked. "Nothing." I didn't tell him, mostly because I didn't trust what I'd seen. By morning, rumors spread through town faster than facts. Mrs. Haskell wandered into the storm. Somebody abducted her. Coyotes got her. One woman online insisted drug addicts were hiding under abandoned houses in the flats. The city council asked people to stop spreading panic. That helped exactly nobody. I went back to the community hall the following day. Marcy met me outside. She looked pale. "I heard Harold in there," she said. "Your husband?" She nodded. He asked me why I stopped visiting the cemetery. Her husband had been dead for 11 years. I wanted to tell her grief does strange things. But before I could speak, we both heard a knock from inside the building. 3 slow taps. Marcy grabbed my sleeve hard. "Tom!" She looked scared. Another 3 knocks. Not from the door, from underneath the floor. I told her to wait outside. She refused. I told her again. That time, she listened. The storage room smelled stronger than before. I pulled the boards back. The crawlspace was gone. In its place sat a shaft dropping straight down into darkness. Brick-lined, wet, old. Cold fog drifted upward from below. I stared at it for several seconds before my brain caught up. There should not have been anything like that under the building. Bellwater records went back 100 years. I had personally inspected this place dozens of times. No basement, no shaft, no tunnel. Then came the knocking again. 3 slow taps from deep below. And after that, a voice. Captain Greer? Small, hoarse, a boy. My stomach dropped so fast it physically hurt. I knew that voice. Caleb Morris, 9 years old. House fire on Vale Street 17 years earlier. I carried him out myself. He died in the ambulance. Captain? A voice again. I nearly answered. That's the part that still bothers me, not the voice. The fact that some part of me wanted it to be real. I backed away from the opening. The voice became clearer. It's dark down here. My chest tightened. Then another voice joined it. An adult woman, crying softly. Then another. Several voices layered together underneath the floor, talking quietly. Not words exactly, more like memory trying to become language. The boards beside my feet shifted. Something moved beneath them. I slammed the covering back into place and stepped away hard enough to hit the wall. The voices stopped immediately. Outside, Marcy sat in her car, gripping the steering wheel. I told her the building had structural damage. "Is that true?" she asked. "Yes," I said. It wasn't entirely a lie. That night I drove to Station 2. Luis Ramirez was in his office doing paperwork. He looked older than I remembered. Funny how retirement lets you notice other people aging. "Tom, Luis." He leaned back. "What brings you here? You finally bored enough to babysit rookies?" "Maybe." He studied my face. "You look terrible." "Thanks." I told him part of the truth. Missing woman. Strange underground structure. Possible gas issue. I left out the voices. Luis listened quietly. Finally, he asked, "You think the building's dangerous?" "Yes." "To who?" I hesitated. "That's the problem. I'm not sure." He rubbed his jaw. "You know what this sounds like?" "Crazy?" "Like you're scared." That annoyed me more than it should have. I'm too old to scare easily. That wasn't an answer. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The station radio crackled somewhere in the other room. Then, I said quietly, "Something's wrong in the flats." Luis didn't laugh. He just nodded once. The next morning, the city taped off the community hall. By afternoon, somebody had already cut through the tape. By evening, another resident vanished. Mr. Donnelly, 64, diabetic, lived alone. Police found his back door open and muddy water across the kitchen floor. On the linoleum near the sink were 5 downward scratches. People started leaving the flats after that. Not officially, just quietly. Pickup trucks loaded with mattresses, children carrying boxes, dogs barking from car windows. But others refused. Some people always do. I spent most of Saturday helping move an elderly couple uphill to their daughter's house. By dusk, my shoulder hurt, and my lungs burned. I was carrying the last box when the fog rolled in, not from the lake, from the streets below. It moved between houses in long white streams. A little girl standing beside the truck pointed toward it. "Mommy," she whispered, "there's people in it." Her mother immediately pulled her away. But I looked. For half a second, I thought I saw shapes moving inside the fog. Not walking, drifting. Like figures underwater. That night, Bellwater exploded online. Videos, photos, arguments. Somebody uploaded audio recorded from Alder Street around midnight, mostly static. Then faintly beneath it, voices. Hundreds. Talking all at once. City officials blamed sewer gas and mass hysteria. That made things worse. By Sunday morning, Luis convinced the county to evacuate the flats temporarily. Temporary is the kind of word officials use when they don't know what else to say. I drove through the district before sunset. Most houses sat dark. Fog crawled ankle-high along the roads. At Alder Street, I found Ed Voss still sitting on his porch with a shotgun across his knees. "Ed," I called him. He looked up slowly. "She's downstairs," he said. "His wife died from cancer 6 years earlier. You need to leave." "She says she's cold," he said. "There is no downstairs." He stared at me. Then came 3 knocks from beneath the house. Ed's expression changed instantly. Not fear. Hope. That scared me more. "Eddie," a woman whispered from under the floor. Ed stood so fast the shotgun nearly slipped. I grabbed his arm. "She needs me." "No, she doesn't," I said. The floorboards bowed upward slightly. just enough to see movement beneath them. "Tom," Ed whispered, crying now. That's her voice. I dragged him off the porch while he fought me harder than I expected. Halfway down the street, emergency lights cut through the fog. Luis climbed out of engine 2. "You all right?" he called. "No," I said. He looked toward Ed's house. "What happened?" Before I could answer, the porch light exploded. Glass scattered into the fog. Something moved behind the front window. Tall. Too tall. One of the younger firefighters took a step backward. Luis noticed. "Everybody, back in the truck," he said immediately. Nobody argued. That was when I realized Luis had started believing me. Maybe not completely. Enough. He helped Ed into the engine. Then he looked at me. "What aren't you telling me?" I stared toward the dark houses. Finally, I said, "I think it uses grief." Luis frowned. "What does that even mean?" "It knows who people miss." "That doesn't explain anything." "No," I said quietly. "It really doesn't." We stood there listening to the fog move through Bellwater. Then, somewhere deeper in the flats, a child laughed. Not loudly. Close. The firefighter nearest the engine whispered, "Jesus Christ." Luis turned back to me. "What's the plan?" I almost said I didn't know. Instead, I heard myself say, "The community hall." Because deep down, I already understood. Whatever this thing was, it had rooted itself there. Underneath it, inside it. Luis wanted to send crews. I refused. You send people into tight underground spaces with this thing, somebody dies. So you go alone? I know confined structures. That doesn't make this sane. Nothing about this is sane. He looked furious for a second, then tired. Finally, he handed me a portable radio. "You call if things go bad," he said. "I probably won't." I know. The community hall door stood open when I returned. Fog poured from inside. The building looked wrong. Longer, somehow. The hallway stretched farther than before. Bulletin boards hung crooked. Children's drawings fluttered from walls in a wind I couldn't feel. I moved slowly toward the storage room. No voices yet, just silence. That was worse. The storage room doorway glowed faintly orange. At first I thought fire. Then I realized it looked more like old station lighting through smoke. The floor opening had widened. Brick stairs descended into darkness, and from below came sounds I knew better than my own heartbeat. Pass alarm beeping, air tanks hissing, men shouting over fire. The paper mill fire. 5 firefighters dead in 1978. Bellwater's worst loss. I had studied that incident for years. Every firefighter in town had. Now their voices rose from underground, and underneath all of it, "Captain Greer!" "Caleb." I closed my eyes. "You're dead," I whispered. The voice answered immediately. "So are they." Something about that response shook me. Not because it sounded supernatural, because it sounded intelligent and careful, like it was learning what hurt. I started down the stairs, not because I wanted to, because if I walked away, whatever lived under Bellwater would keep calling people back. The air grew hotter below. Brick walls became blackened concrete, then steel. The stairwell blurred into something resembling the old paper mill interior. I knew it wasn't real. But memory is dangerous, especially old professional memory. Every instinct in my body began responding to the scene automatically. Check visibility, locate exits, monitor heat, listen for collapse. That frightened me, because some part of my brain had already accepted the illusion. At the bottom stood Caleb, 9 years old. Burn marks on his sleeves, smoke across his face. Perfect. Too perfect. Real memory frays around the edges. This thing presented him like a preserved photograph. "You left me there," he said. My throat tightened. "No, you carried the others first." "That isn't true." "Then why can't you remember my mother's face?" That hit harder than it should have, because I couldn't. Not clearly. I remembered the screaming, the fire, the rain afterward, but not her face. Behind Caleb, movement unfolded inside the smoke. Not a body. More like multiple shapes trying badly to become one. Arms appeared where smoke thickened. Faces surfaced briefly. Hands reached outward and vanished. It never stayed still long enough to fully see. That saved the moment from becoming absurd. If I had seen it clearly, I think the fear would have broken. Instead, my mind kept trying to complete what my eyes couldn't. And that was worse. Voices rose around me. Mrs. Haskell, Ed's wife, men from the paper mill, my own wife. That one nearly dropped me. Tom. Quiet. Tired. Exactly how she sounded near the end. I physically staggered. The smoke shifted closer. "You could stay," my wife's voice whispered. Every instinct in me screamed to answer. That was the real horror, not the thing itself. The temptation. The desperate animal part of grief that wants one more conversation badly enough to ignore reality. The hallway behind me disappeared. No stairs anymore. Only smoke. My radio crackled faintly. "Luis. Tom? You there?" The sound grounded me just enough. I grabbed a road flare from my bag and struck it. Red light exploded through the haze. The illusion broke instantly. Not completely. Enough. The walls shuddered. Smoke peeled back in strips. Underneath I saw roots. Bones. Wet concrete. The thing screamed, not loudly. Thousands of voices inhaling together. Caleb's face twisted wrong. Too wide. I backed away. The smoke surged after me. Hands reached from it. Not grabbing. Begging. That somehow felt worse. I stumbled against the wall and nearly fell. My lungs burned. For a second, panic took me fully. Not cinematic panic. Ugly, old man panic. Heart hammering, hands shaking, mouth dry. I remember thinking very clearly, I am going to die under this town. Then training returned. Not courage. Procedure. Procedure saves people when bravery fails. I pulled the oxygen cylinder from my bag. Emergency spare. Not enough to blow apart a building. Enough to feed flame violently inside a confined space. The flare burned bright red in my other hand. The thing shifted toward me through the smoke. Faces emerging. My wife, Caleb. Men I couldn't save. "You're tired," it whispered. And God help me. That almost broke me. Because it was true. I was tired. So unbelievably tired. I opened the cylinder valve. The hiss echoed sharply underground. Then I hurled both flare and tank into the deepest part of the smoke. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then the world turned white. The blast hit like a collapsing wall. Heat rolled over me. Concrete cracked. The sound afterward wasn't an explosion. It was a scream folding inward, like an entire crowd suddenly inhaling. Then silence. Real silence. I woke outside the community hall sometime later. Rain fell softly. My shoulder throbbed. Blood ran down one side of my face. Luis knelt beside me. "You with me?" "Unfortunately," I said. He almost laughed. The building behind us had partially collapsed inward. Fog no longer poured from it. Fire crews moved through the debris carefully. Nobody spoke much. One firefighter crossed himself while looking into the hole. Luis noticed. Didn't tell him to stop. Official reports blamed methane pockets and structural failure. The county sealed the flats 2 weeks later, pending redevelopment. That was 8 months ago. Most of Bellwater pretends none of it happened. That's normal. People survive by editing reality into manageable shapes. Mrs. Haskell was never found. Neither was Donnelly. Online, people still argue over the videos. Fake, gas hallucinations, mass panic. Sometimes I almost agree with them. Then fog rolls across the lake, and my chest tightens before my brain understands why. I sleep badly now. Some nights I wake because I think somebody knocked 3 times beneath the floor. Other nights I dream about the paper mill, only now the firefighters inside aren't calling for help. They're inviting me down. Louise convinced me to help train new recruits again. Not active duty, just classroom instruction, confined space awareness, structural collapse behavior, smoke navigation. The rookies look painfully young. Last week, one of them asked if I missed the old days. I almost said yes. Instead, I told him the truth. No, I said. I miss believing experience could protect people. He didn't understand what I meant. That's probably a good thing. This morning, I sat on my porch drinking coffee while fog drifted over Bellwater Lake. Normal fog. Probably. I watched it for nearly an hour. At one point, I thought I saw movement inside it. Not clearly, just shapes. Could have been birds. Could have been light. Could have been memory. I stayed on the porch until sunrise burned most of it away. Most. Not all. There's still a narrow strip of white resting near the far shoreline. It hasn't moved since dawn. And every now and then, when the wind dies completely, I think I hear knocking coming from somewhere underneath the water.